Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship. He looked out at the stars through the big window. His ship had no name on it, no flags, no signs that said what country it was from. For 3 years, it had been hiding in the space rocks between Mars and Jupiter. Nobody knew it was there. Jake was 42 years old. He had been in the Space Navy for 20 years. His hair was getting gray at the sides. His face showed the worry lines of a man who carried big secrets. The ship he commanded was called the Defiant, but that name was written nowhere on its black metal hull. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of computers. Lisa Carter sat at her station. She was the person who controlled the weapons. Lisa had short brown hair and quick green eyes. She had been watching the computer screens for hours. Something was wrong with the readings she was seeing. "Commander," Lisa said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the worry in it. "I'm getting some strange readings from way out there, past Pluto." Jake walked over to her station. The screen showed dots of light moving toward their solar system, but these dots were huge, much bigger than any ship humans had ever built. "How many?" Jake asked. 12 big ones, sir. Maybe more behind them. They're still too far away to count, exactly." Amy Rodriguez looked up from her science station. She had long black hair tied back in a neat ponytail. Amy was the smartest person on the ship. She could figure out things that made other people's heads hurt. "Commander, I'm running the numbers on those energy readings," Amy said. "These things are massive. Each one is about the size of a city, and they're putting out more power than our entire Earth fleet combined." Jake felt his stomach drop. For 3 years, they had been waiting for this day. The day when Earth would face something from the stars, something that might want to hurt them. Ben Harris was sitting at the communications station. He was young, maybe 25, with bright blue eyes and a smile that usually made everyone feel better. But he wasn't smiling now. Ben was listening to radio signals from space. His face was getting more worried by the minute. "Sir, I'm picking up radio chatter from those ships," Ben said. "It's not in any language I know, but the computer is starting to figure out some of it." "What are they saying?" Jake asked. Ben looked at his screen. His face went pale. "Sir, they're talking about harvesting, about taking resources, and about clearing out the local population." The bridge went very quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. These aliens weren't coming to talk. They weren't coming to trade. They were coming to take Earth and kill everyone on it. Jake had known this day might come. That's why the Defiant existed. 5 years ago, some very smart people in the government had a meeting. They decided that Earth needed a secret weapon, something that could fight even if all the regular spaceships were destroyed. So they built the Defiant in a secret shipyard. They used technology that officially didn't exist. Weapons that were too dangerous to put on regular ships. Engines that could move faster than anything else humans had built. And they gave it to Jake and 67 other people who had sworn to keep the secret. The crew came from different countries, but they all had one thing in common. They were willing to die for Earth. Most of them had families back home. Children who didn't know their parents were floating in space, ready to fight monsters from the stars. Danny Kim was down in the engine room. He was a short man with thick glasses and hands that were always dirty from working on machines. Danny could fix anything that broke and make it work better than before. He had been making the ship's weapons stronger for 3 years. Helen Brooks was the navigator. She was tall and thin with red hair. Helen could plot a course through an asteroid field while blindfolded. She knew where every rock and planet was in their solar system. When the fighting started, she would be the one keeping them alive by knowing where to go. Dr. Tony Walsh ran the medical bay. He was an older man with kind eyes and gentle hands. Tony had saved more lives than he could count. He was getting his medical station ready because he knew people were going to get hurt very soon. Linda Foster was in charge of security. She was tough as nails and could fight better than most men twice her size. Linda had trained every person on the ship how to use a weapon. If aliens tried to board their ship, they would have a big surprise waiting for them. Jake looked around at his crew. These people had given up everything to serve on a ship that didn't exist. They couldn't tell their families where they were. They couldn't write letters home. They were ghosts, floating in space, waiting for the day when Earth would need them. Amy, how long until those ships reach Earth? Jake asked. Amy typed quickly on her computer. At their current speed, about 6 hours, sir. 6 hours. That wasn't much time. Earth's regular space navy was strong, but not strong enough for this. The aliens had ships that were bigger and more powerful than anything humans had ever seen. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He was going to break 3 years of radio silence. He was going to tell Earth's defense headquarters that the Defiant was real and that it was going to fight. Ben, open a channel to Admiral Karen Stone at Earth Defense Command, Jake said. Ben's fingers moved over his controls. Channel open, sir? Admiral Stone, this is Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Defiant. We have hostile alien ships approaching Earth. We are moving to intercept. There was a long silence on the radio. Then Admiral Stone's voice came through, full of shock and disbelief. Morrison, the Defiant. I thought you people were just a story. We're real, Admiral, and we're about to prove it. Jake turned to his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders. These brave men and women were ready to fly into battle, against impossible odds. All hands. This is the captain speaking, Jake announced over the ship's speakers. The day we've been training for is here. We're going to fight to protect our home. Some of us might not make it back, but we're going to show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth. The crew began moving to their battle stations. 3 years of waiting was over. The secret ship was about to become Earth's sword and shield. The Defiant moved through space like a hunting cat. Its black hull absorbed light, making it almost invisible against the stars. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the alien ships get bigger on his screen. Each enemy vessel was the size of a mountain, covered in strange lights and metal spikes. Danny Kim was working fast in the engine room. Sweat dripped down his face as he checked every system twice. The ship's weapons were unlike anything the regular Earth Navy had. Quantum torpedoes that could punch through the thickest armor, particle beam cannons that moved at the speed of light, and shields that could learn from enemy attacks and get stronger. Captain, all weapons are ready. Danny's voice came through the speakers. The quantum torpedoes are loaded and the particle beams are charged to full power. Good work, Danny, Jake replied. He looked at his navigation officer. Helen, how long until we're in weapons range? Helen Brooks studied her screens. Her red hair was tied back tight, and her green eyes were focused. She had plotted a course that would bring them close to the alien fleet without being seen. 20 minutes, sir? We'll come up behind that big asteroid and hit them before they know we're there. The aliens didn't know the Defiant existed. Earth's governments had kept the secret well. The enemy would expect to fight Earth's regular space navy, with ships they could easily beat. They wouldn't expect a ghost ship with weapons from the future. Dr. Tony Walsh was in the medical bay, getting ready for wounded soldiers. He had bandages, medicines, and surgical tools laid out on clean tables. Tony had gray hair and kind eyes, but his hands were steady as rocks. He had been a doctor for 30 years and had seen every kind of injury. Linda Foster was checking the security teams. She was a small woman, but tough as steel. Linda had trained every crew member to fight with guns and knives. If the aliens tried to board their ship, they would face 68 angry humans who knew how to fight. Security teams are ready, Captain, Linda reported. We have weapons at every station and extra ammunition stored safely. Amy Rodriguez was studying the alien ships through the science sensors. The enemy vessels were huge and covered in weapons, but Amy was looking for weak spots. Every ship had them, even alien ones. "Captain, I'm seeing something interesting," Amy said. "These alien ships have very strong front shields, but the back parts look weaker. If we can get behind them, we might be able to do some real damage." Ben Harris was listening to alien radio chatter. The computer was getting better at understanding their language. Most of what he heard made his blood run cold. "Sir, they're talking about Earth like it's already theirs," Ben said. "They're dividing up the planet. This group gets the water, that group gets the metals. They're planning to use humans as slaves for mining." Jake felt anger building in his chest. These aliens thought humans were just animals to be used. They thought Earth was an easy target. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The alien fleet was moving in a straight line toward Earth. Their ships were big and powerful, but they moved slowly. They weren't expecting a fight from anyone who could hurt them. That was their first mistake. "Captain, we're approaching the asteroid field," Helen announced, beginning final approach to attack position. The Defiant slipped between the space rocks like a fish swimming through coral. Helen's flying was perfect. She knew exactly where every asteroid was and how to use them for cover. The alien sensors couldn't see them coming. Jake looked around at his crew. These people had volunteered for a mission that might kill them all. They had families on Earth who didn't even know where they were. But every person on this ship was ready to die to protect their home. "All stations, prepare for combat," Jake announced. "We're about to announce to the galaxy that Earth is not helpless." Lisa Carter powered up the weapons systems. Red lights blinked on her control panel as the ship's guns came online. The quantum torpedoes were ready to fire. The particle beams were charged and aimed. The Defiant was ready to bite. "Weapons ready, Captain," Lisa said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking slightly with excitement. "Helen, bring us around that big asteroid. Maximum stealth until we're in position." "Yes, sir. Coming around." Now, the Defiant emerged from behind the asteroid like death itself. Suddenly, they were only a few miles from the lead alien ship. So close they could see the details on its hull. The enemy vessel was covered in weapons and armor, but it looked old, like it had been built by people who had never lost a fight. "Ben, are you recording everything?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. Everything we see and hear is being sent back to Earth's Defense Command." Jake took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change human history. Earth's secret weapon was about to reveal itself. "Lisa, fire quantum torpedoes. All tubes, firing." Now, 6 bright streaks of energy shot out from the Defiant. They moved so fast, they looked like lines of light. The torpedoes hit the alien ship before its crew even knew they were under attack. Explosions bloomed along the enemy's hull like deadly flowers. The alien ship's shields flickered and died. Its armor cracked and melted. Atmosphere and debris sprayed out into space. The mighty vessel that had been planning to destroy Earth was suddenly burning and helpless. "Direct hit," Lisa shouted. "Their shields are down, and they're venting atmosphere." But the aliens weren't stupid. The other 11 ships immediately turned toward the Defiant. Their weapons began charging with an angry red glow. Warning alarms started blaring on every enemy vessel. "Incoming fire," Amy warned. "Multiple energy weapons targeting us." "Evasive maneuvers," Jake ordered. "Helen, show them how humans fly." Helen's hands moved over her controls like she was playing music. The Defiant twisted and spun through space, dodging the alien weapons fire. Green and red energy beams passed so close they lit up the bridge windows. The enemy weapons were powerful, but they were slow. The aliens were used to fighting people who couldn't move very fast. They had never fought humans before. "Return fire," Jake ordered. "Show them what Earth can do." The Defiant's particle beams lanced out like swords of light. They cut through alien armor like it was paper. 2 more enemy ships took direct hits and began spinning out of control. 3 ships damaged, Captain, Amy reported. But the others are forming up to attack us together. The remaining 9 alien ships moved into a battle formation. They were learning that the small human ship was dangerous, but they still thought they could win through sheer numbers and firepower. Ben Harris was monitoring their communications. "Sir, they're calling for reinforcements. There are more ships coming." Jake felt his heart sink. More aliens were coming, and the Defiant was just 1 ship. But they had surprised the enemy and hurt them badly. That was more than anyone had expected from the first battle. "How long until reinforcements arrive?" Jake asked. Ben listened to the alien chatter. "About 4 hours, sir. Maybe less." 4 hours, that wasn't much time. But maybe it was enough time to learn more about the enemy. Maybe enough time to find a way to beat them. The real fight was just beginning. The alien ships moved like angry giants through space. Their massive hulls gleamed with strange metal that seemed to bend light. 9 ships remained from the original 12, and they were no longer underestimating the small human vessel that had hurt them so badly. Jake Morrison watched the enemy formation on his main screen. The aliens were trying to surround the Defiant, using their numbers to trap the smaller ship, but they were making a mistake. They thought like conquerors who had never met real resistance. "They're moving too slow," Jake said to his crew. "They're used to fighting people who give up easily." Ben Harris was still listening to alien communications. The computer was getting better at translating their language. What he heard made him excited and worried at the same time. "Captain, they're really confused," Ben reported. "They keep asking each other how humans built a ship this advanced. They thought we were a primitive species." Amy Rodriguez was studying the alien ships through her science scanners. She had found something important. "Sir, I think I know why they're so slow," Amy said. "Their ships are built for overwhelming firepower, not for quick movements. They're like giant hammers designed to smash planets. And we're like a knife," Jake replied, "fast and sharp." Lisa Carter was ready at the weapons station. The quantum torpedoes were reloaded, and the particle beams were fully charged. She had been studying how the aliens moved, and she was learning their patterns. "Captain, I think I can predict where they're going to be," Lisa said. "They move in straight lines, and they don't change direction quickly." Helen Brooks was flying the Defiant like it was part of her own body. She twisted between enemy fire and used nearby asteroids as shields. The alien weapons were powerful, but they couldn't hit what they couldn't catch. "Incoming missiles," Amy warned. "I see them," Helen replied calmly. 6 alien missiles streaked toward the Defiant. Each one was the size of a small car and packed with enough explosives to destroy a city block. But Helen was ready for them. She dove the ship toward a large asteroid and then pulled up at the last second. 4 of the missiles crashed into the rock and exploded harmlessly. The other 2 followed the Defiant as it spun around the asteroid's other side. "Danny, I need more power to the engines," Helen called. "You got it, Danny?" Kim's voice came from the engine room, pushing the engines to 120%. The Defiant shot forward like a bullet. The remaining 2 missiles couldn't turn fast enough to follow. They flew past and exploded far behind the ship. "Now it's our turn," Jake said. "Lisa, target the ship on the left, the one with the damaged shields." "Target locked, Captain. Fire." The Defiant's weapons lit up space with deadly energy. Quantum torpedoes and particle beams hit the alien ship at the same time. The enemy vessel's hull cracked like an egg. Atmosphere vented out in a white cloud that froze instantly in the cold of space. "That's 4 ships down," Lisa announced. But the aliens were learning too. The remaining 8 ships spread out wider, making it harder for the Defiant to attack them all. They began firing in patterns, trying to predict where the human ship would go. "They're getting smarter," Jake observed. "But they still don't understand how we fight." Dr. Tony Walsh's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Captain, I have 3 crew members with minor injuries from that last shaking. Nothing serious, but the aliens are getting closer with their shots. Understood, Doc. Helen, let's show them something they've never seen before. Helen smiled. She had been waiting for permission to try her most dangerous maneuver. Yes, sir. Hold on, everyone. The Defiant suddenly stopped all forward movement and spun completely around. The alien ships, expecting it to keep running, overshot their target. Now the human ship was behind them instead of in front. Impossible. Ben translated from the alien communications. How did they reverse direction so quickly? Because we're not like other species they've fought, Jake replied. Lisa hit them while they're turning around. The Defiant unleashed everything it had. Quantum torpedoes streaked toward 3 different alien ships. Particle beams carved through their hulls, like hot knives through butter. 2 more enemy vessels began spinning out of control, their engines destroyed. 6 ships down, Captain Amy reported. But the others are calling for immediate backup. Jake felt the weight of command on his shoulders. The Defiant had done better than anyone had hoped. They had destroyed half of the alien advance fleet. But Ben's translations were bringing bad news. Sir, the main alien fleet is changing course, Ben said. They're coming here faster than planned. And there are a lot more ships than we thought. How many more? Jake asked. Ben's face went pale as he listened to the alien chatter. Over 200 ships, sir. Maybe 300. It's the biggest war fleet in their history. The bridge went quiet, except for the sound of computers and engines. Everyone understood what this meant. The Defiant had won the first battle, but the real war was just beginning. Amy was scanning the remaining 6 alien ships. They were regrouping, but she noticed something important. Captain, these ships are sending detailed information about us back to their main fleet, Amy said. They're telling them about our weapons, our speed, everything they've learned. Can we stop the transmission? Jake asked. Not without getting very close to their communication ship. It's the big one in the center. Jake looked at the tactical display. The alien communication ship was surrounded by the other 5 vessels. Getting close to it would mean flying through a wall of enemy fire. Helen, can you get us close to that command ship? Helen studied the enemy formation. It'll be dangerous, sir. We'll have to fly right through their crossfire. But can you do it? Helen's eyes sparkled with determination. Yes, sir. But we'll need to move fast and hit hard. Linda Foster's voice came from the security station. Captain, if we're going in close, my teams are ready for boarding action. We could try to take prisoners and gather intelligence. Jake thought quickly. Prisoners would be valuable. They could learn about alien technology and military plans, but it would be incredibly dangerous. Danny Kim's voice crackled through the speakers. Captain, I've been studying their energy signatures. I think I can disrupt their shields if we get close enough. Dr. Tony Walsh was preparing for the worst. Medical bay is ready for casualties, sir. I've got emergency surgical equipment standing by. Jake looked around at his crew. These people were ready to risk everything for a chance to learn more about the enemy. They understood that knowledge might be the key to saving Earth. All right, people, we're going in. Helen, plot the closest approach to that command ship. Lisa, prepare for close-range combat. Linda, get your boarding teams ready. The Defiant began its attack run. The 6 remaining alien ships opened fire. With everything they had, energy beams and missiles filled space like a deadly light show. But the crew of the unmarked vessel was ready. They had already proven that humans could fight. Now they were going to prove that humans could win. The Defiant flew straight into the storm of alien fire. Energy beams lit up the darkness around them like deadly lightning. Helen Brooks pushed the ship through impossible maneuvers, rolling and spinning to avoid the worst of the enemy weapons. Hull damage on Deck 3. Danny Kim reported from engineering. But the armor is holding. Jake Morrison gripped his command chair as the ship shook from near misses. The alien command ship was getting bigger on the screen. Its hull was covered with communication arrays and sensor equipment. That ship held the key to learning about the enemy. 30 seconds to target, Helen announced. Lisa Carter had her weapons. Ready? Captain, I can disable their communication array with a precision strike. Do it. The Defiance particle beams lanced out with surgical accuracy. They cut through the alien communication equipment like hot wires through ice. Sparks and debris flew into space as the enemy's ability to talk to their main fleet was destroyed. Communication array destroyed. Amy Rodriguez confirmed. They can't send any more information about us. But the aliens weren't giving up. The command ship's hull opened up, and strange fighter craft poured out like angry wasps. Each fighter was twice the size of a human shuttle and bristled with weapons. Incoming fighters, Amy warned. 20 of them. The alien fighters moved fast, much faster than their big ships. They swarmed around the Defiant, firing rapid pulses of energy. The human ship's shields flickered as dozens of shots hit them. Helen, get us alongside that command ship, Jake ordered. We need to board her before those fighters tear us apart. Helen pushed the Defiant's engines to their limits. The ship shot forward, using the alien command vessel as a shield against the fighters. The enemy pilots couldn't fire at the human ship without risking hits on their own mothership. Boarding teams, prepare for departure, Linda Foster announced. Linda had 12 volunteers ready to fight their way onto the alien ship. They wore the best armor Earth could make and carried weapons designed to work in space. But nobody knew if human weapons could hurt aliens. The Defiant scraped against the alien hull with a sound like grinding metal. Sparks flew as the two ships locked together. Linda's teams rushed to the airlocks, ready to cut their way inside. Ben, are you getting any signals from inside that ship? Jake asked. Ben Harris was monitoring every frequency he could find. His equipment was picking up strange sounds from inside the alien vessel. Yes, sir. Lots of activity. They're preparing to repel boarders. And sir, I'm hearing something else. It sounds like they're destroying their computer files. Jake felt a surge of urgency. If the aliens destroyed their data, this dangerous mission would be for nothing. Linda, you need to move fast. They're trying to destroy their computers. Understood, Captain. Teams Alpha and Beta, move out. The boarding teams cut through the alien hull with plasma torches. The metal was strange and hard, but human tools could handle it. Linda was the first one through the hole, her weapon ready. The inside of the alien ship was dark and filled with strange smells. The corridors were built for creatures taller than humans, with ceilings that disappeared into shadows. Emergency lights flashed red, casting weird shadows on the walls. This place is huge, Linda reported through her radio, and it stinks like rotten eggs. The boarding teams moved carefully through the alien ship. They found computer terminals covered in symbols that looked like twisted metal. Some were still working, their screens showing information in the alien language. Then they met the enemy face to face. The aliens were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore armor that looked like it grew from their bodies. Their weapons shot bolts of green energy that melted metal. Contact, Linda shouted, engaging hostile aliens. The fight in the corridors was brutal and quick. Human weapons worked fine on alien bodies, but the aliens were tough and fought with the fury of cornered animals. Linda's team pushed forward, taking casualties but gaining ground. We've reached their computer center, Linda reported, but there are a lot of them here. Back on the Defiant, Dr. Tony Walsh was treating wounded crew members. 3 people had been hurt when alien fighters got through the shields. Ben Harris was one of them. A piece of broken metal had cut his arm, but he refused to leave his post. I'm fine, Doc, Ben insisted. Just bandage it up. I need to keep listening to their signals. Amy Rodriguez was studying scans of the alien ship. She was learning about their technology and looking for weaknesses. "Captain, their ship's power source is really interesting," Amy said. "It's some kind of controlled fusion reactor, much more advanced than ours, but it has a weak spot. If we could overload it, could we capture the ship intact?" Jake asked. "Maybe, but it would be very dangerous." Danny Kim was working on battle damage while monitoring Linda's progress. "Captain, the boarding teams are taking heavy losses. Linda's reporting for people down." Jake felt the weight of command crushing down on him. Good people were dying to get information that might save Earth, but was it worth the cost? Linda's voice crackled through the radio, filled with static, and the sound of weapons fire. "Captain, we've got their main computer, but they're trying to wipe everything. Can you stop them?" "Working on it. Amy, I need you to talk me through this alien computer system." Amy Rodriguez became Linda's eyes and voice inside the alien ship. Using the data from their scans, she guided the boarding team to the most important computer terminals. "Linda, the big console on your left, that's their main database." "I see it. How do I stop the deletion?" "Try the red crystal on the top panel." "No, the other red one." The fight raged through the alien ship. Linda's teams were outnumbered, but they had surprise and determination. Human weapons and tactics were things the aliens had never seen before. "Got it," Linda announced. "The deletion has stopped. I'm downloading everything I can, but the victory came at a terrible price." Of the 12 people who had boarded the alien ship, only 7 were still fighting. Ben Harris had died at his post when an alien fighter's shot got through the Defiant's shields. 3 others had fallen in the brutal corridor fighting. "Linda, you need to get out of there now," Jake ordered. "More alien fighters are coming." The boarding teams fought their way back to their entry point. They carried wounded teammates and data storage devices filled with alien secrets. Behind them, the alien ship was becoming a death trap as its crew prepared to self-destruct rather than be captured. "Everyone's aboard," Linda reported as the last boarding team member stumbled through the airlock. "But we lost 5 good people, Captain." Jake felt each death like a punch to the gut. These people had volunteered to die for Earth, but that didn't make it easier. "Helen, get us away from that ship. Maximum speed." The Defiant pulled away from the alien command vessel just as it exploded. The death of the enemy ship lit up space like a new star. But the human crew felt no joy in their victory. Dr. Tony Walsh was working frantically to save the wounded. His medical bay was full of heroes who had risked everything for their mission. Amy Rodriguez was already studying the captured alien data. Her eyes were wide with excitement and fear. "Captain, this information is incredible," Amy said. "I know how their ships work, how their weapons function, and where they come from. But there's something else. Something terrible." "What is it?" "The main fleet isn't just bigger than we thought. It's led by a ship the size of a small moon. And it's not just a warship. It's designed to crack planets apart." Jake felt his blood turn to ice. The aliens weren't just planning to conquer Earth. They were planning to break it into pieces. "How long until they get here?" Amy checked the alien navigation data. 18 hours, sir. Maybe less if they decide to come faster." 18 hours. That wasn't enough time for Earth's defenses to prepare for something that could destroy planets. But maybe it was enough time for the Defiant to do something about it. The unmarked vessel had paid a heavy price for the information it carried. Now Jake had to decide what to do with it. Fight the impossible battle, or run home to warn Earth of its doom. The alien main fleet arrived like death itself. 300 warships moved through space in perfect formation. At their center was the Planet Killer, a ship so massive it blocked out the stars behind it. Its hull was covered with weapons that could turn moons into dust. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the enemy armada approach. His ship was damaged and his crew was tired, but they had positioned themselves directly in the aliens' path. 63 people against 300 ships. The odds were impossible, but they were still going to fight. "Captain, they're sending us a message," Amy Rodriguez reported. She had been studying alien communications all night and could now understand their language. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and showed an alien face. The creature was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin like gray metal. Its eyes were black and cold. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into English. "Human vessel, you have caused us great trouble. You will surrender now and tell us the location of your homeworld. Your species will serve us as workers. Resist, and we will make your deaths slow and painful." Jake stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. His uniform was torn and dirty from the battle, but he stood straight and proud. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Defiant," he said. "You came here to destroy our world. Instead, you're going to learn why that was a mistake." The alien's face showed surprise and then anger. "You are only one small ship. We are many. You cannot stop us." "Maybe not," Jake replied, "but we're going to try. And we're going to make sure everyone knows what kind of monsters you are." Jake cut the transmission and turned to his crew. These brave people had already done the impossible. They had fought an alien fleet and won. Now, they were going to do something even harder. "Ben, are you ready with the broadcast?" Jake asked. Ben Harris's replacement, a young woman named Carol White, nodded. Ben had died in the last battle, but his work lived on. The communication system was ready to send everything they had learned about the aliens to every corner of human space. "Ready, sir? We can broadcast on all frequencies at maximum power." "Do it. Send everything. Ship designs, weapon specifications, battle tactics, alien weaknesses. Everything Amy learned from those computer files." The Defiant began transmitting on every radio frequency it could reach. The information flowed out like water from a broken dam. Earth's defense forces, colonies on Mars, mining stations in the asteroid belt, everyone would know how to fight the aliens. "Transmission complete, Captain," Carol reported. "Every human in the solar system now knows what we know. The alien fleet was moving closer. The planet killer's main weapon was charging up, a beam that could cut through the core of a world. But it moved slowly, like all alien technology. They had never needed to be fast when fighting weaker enemies." "Lisa, what's our weapons status?" Jake asked. Lisa Carter checked her systems. The ship's weapons were damaged, but still working. "We have 6 quantum torpedoes left, and about 60% power on the particle beams. Helen, can you get us close to that big ship?" Helen Brooks was pale and tired, but her hands were steady on the controls. "Yes, sir, but their fighter screen is thick. We'll take a lot of damage getting through." Jake looked around at his crew. Dr. Tony Walsh was ready with medical supplies. Linda Foster was preparing her remaining security teams for a final battle. Danny Kim was pushing the engines beyond their safe limits. These people had already given everything for their mission. "All hands, this is the captain speaking," Jake announced over the ship's speakers. "We've done our job. Earth knows how to fight these aliens, but we have one more chance to hurt them. We're going to attack their command ship." The crew responded with quiet determination. They knew this was probably their last battle, but they also knew that their sacrifice might save millions of lives on Earth. The Defiant began its final attack run. The alien fighters swarmed toward them like angry insects. Energy beams and missiles filled space with deadly light. The ship's shields flickered and failed under the overwhelming fire. "Hull breaches on decks 2 and 4, Danny reported. "We're venting atmosphere. Emergency bulkheads sealed," Linda added, "but we've lost 6 more people." The ship shook and groaned as alien weapons tore into its hull. But Helen kept flying, dodging the worst of the enemy fire and pushing toward the massive command ship. 10,000 kilometers to target, Helen announced. Amy Rodriguez was scanning the alien planet killer with everything she had. The ship was so big it had its own gravity. Its weapons could destroy fleets with single shots. But she had found something important. "Captain, that ship has a weakness," Amy said. "Its main weapon draws power from the entire ship when it fires. For about 30 seconds. All their other systems go offline, including shields." "Yes, sir. If we time it right, we can hit them when they're defenseless." Jake watched the alien weapon charging up. They were probably going to use it on the Defiant first, to make an example. The beam was designed to crack planets, so one small ship would be vaporized instantly. "Everyone hold on," Jake ordered. "Helen, when that weapon fires, you have 30 seconds to get us to point-blank range." "Understood, sir." The alien planet killer's main weapon reached full charge. The beam that shot out was brighter than a star and wider than a city. It reached across space like the finger of an angry god. But Helen was ready. The moment the weapon fired, she pushed the Defiant's engines to maximum. The ship shot forward, like a bullet, racing through space while the alien shields were down. 20 seconds, Amy called out. The Defiant flew straight toward the massive alien ship. Its hull filled the entire view screen, covered with weapons and armor that looked like the ribs of some giant beast. 15 seconds. "Lisa, target their main reactor," Jake ordered. "Everything we have. Targeting now." 10 seconds. The alien shields were starting to come back online. Warning lights began flashing all over the enemy ship as they realized what the humans were doing. 5 seconds. "Fire," Jake shouted. The Defiant unleashed every weapon it had left. Quantum torpedoes and particle beams struck the alien ship's hull at point-blank range. The explosions lit up space like a new sun, but the Defiant was too close to escape the blast. The ship was caught in the explosion of its own weapons. The hull cracked and twisted as the reactor went critical. "All hands, abandon ship," Jake ordered, but there was nowhere to go. They were in deep space, millions of miles from any rescue. The crew stayed at their posts, doing their duty until the very end. Danny, Kim, kept the engines running until the power core finally gave out. Dr. Tony Walsh treated the wounded even as the ship broke apart around him. Lisa Carter fired the last of their weapons at alien fighters. Linda Foster and her teams prepared to fight any aliens who tried to board their dying ship. Carol White kept transmitting until the communication array was destroyed. Her last message was simple. "Earth stands. Humanity endures. We are not afraid." Jake Morrison stood on his bridge as the Defiant died around him. Through the cracked view screen, he could see the alien planet killer spinning out of control. Their attack had damaged its main reactor. The massive ship was breaking apart, its hull splitting like a rotten fruit. "We did it," Jake said quietly. "We actually hurt them." Amy Rodriguez was at her station, watching the alien fleet's reaction. "Captain, the other ships are pulling back. They're afraid of the debris from their command ship." The alien fleet that had seemed so powerful was running away. The death of their planet killer had shocked them. These creatures had never faced an enemy that would ram a damaged ship into their most powerful weapon. Helen Brooks managed a weak smile. "Sir, I'm reading massive damage to their fleet. That explosion took out at least 50 ships. The Defiant was dying, but its crew had accomplished something incredible. They had proven that humans could fight aliens and win. More importantly, they had shown the galaxy that Earth would not surrender." As the ship's life support failed and the lights went out, one by one, Jake thought about the message they had sent. Every human in the solar system now knew how to fight the aliens. Earth's defenses would be ready for the next attack. The unmarked vessel that had emerged from the shadows was gone, but its legacy would live forever. The galaxy had learned that when humans fought for their home, they fought with everything they had, and they never, ever gave up. 3 months later, Earth's rebuilt fleet used the Defiant's intelligence to defeat the aliens' second invasion. The planet killer's destruction had broken their spirit. They retreated to their home worlds and never returned to human space. Admiral Karen Stone stood in Earth's memorial garden, looking at a simple black stone. Carved into it were 68 names, including Jake Morrison and his brave crew. The inscription below read, "They gave their lives so humanity could live free." The stone bore no mention of their ship's name or their mission. To the outside world, they were just heroes who had died fighting aliens. But Admiral Stone knew the truth. She knew about the unmarked vessel that had saved them all. The Defiant was gone, but its spirit lived on in every human ship that now patrolled the galaxy. Earth's children would spread to the stars, and they would carry with them the memory of those who had defended their home at all costs.